Hey everybody, so today I am here to give you guys 5 tips about C-sections. This is a collab that I'm doing with my friend Brady. I've done collabs with her in the past. We are both C-section mamas. We thought it'd be helpful to kind of put our heads together and give you guys some helpful advice. I will be putting links in the description box and also some cards up for you guys to go look at her video. Make sure you check her out. Brady makes a ton of great content, my favorite of which is her grocery hauls. She posts them super often and I just feel like they give me a lot of inspiration because we shop at similar stores. But like I said, make sure you check out her videos. I know she'll be giving some great advice. And if you're new from Brady's channel, hi, my name is Alia. I have 3 daughters, ages 5, almost 4, and 5 months old. I have had C-sections with all of them. They were all scheduled C-sections because of a medical need. We also had to go to a new hospital this time around with our youngest, so I will say these aren't anything crazy. I'm not going to revolutionize the way that people look at C-sections. This isn't like 15 amazing hacks on how to make your C-section more bearable. Like, there's nothing extravagant going on here. It's just an average mom giving you some veteran advice from her own C-section. So the first thing I wanted to mention, it's something that I did not think about or even realize until the 3rd time around with our youngest, and that is to use a Peri bottle. Whether you have to ask for it in the hospital, you want to pack your own and buy one, or they already supply one for you, whatever it might be, use that thing. Our hospital did not provide one for me the first 2 times with our older daughters, but that was a separate hospital. And I so wish that I had had one. I don't know why, it just kind of occurred to me as like an aha moment, but there was a Peri bottle in this hospital room with our youngest, and it made so much sense to me. They're typically given to vaginal birth moms in place of wiping because it's so sensitive down there, but we are also bleeding. Every postpartum mom has some kind of bleeding, and it's very messy. So we're still wiping, and even though we might not be sore down there from pushing and delivering a baby vaginally, it's still very messy. The Peri bottle makes it super simple. Obviously, you just fill it up with warm water. You're able to spray everything off and then just pat it dry. It just is amazing. So even though you're having a C-section instead of a vaginal birth, I highly recommend the Peri bottle. The second thing has to do with another product, and that is the fact that you are probably hearing a lot about some kind of binder or belt for postpartum. It's 100% worth it. I've had 3 C-sections, and every single time afterwards, I'm reminded why I love those so much. Now, each of my hospitals gave me one while I was in there. All of them were like basically this big stretchy piece of Velcro that they just wrapped from one side to the other. It did the job just fine. If you want to use that, great. It'll do suffice. But if you don't want to chance them not having one for you, or you want to get one that's a little bit more comfortable or something you can wear under clothes, because that can get a little bulky, it's not meant to look great or anything. But I will leave a link to the one I used in the hospital with Lexi this time, and it was amazing. I really enjoyed this one, and I actually wore it well until we got home, and I just can't say enough good things. I will say, if you are experiencing gas pain though, definitely take it off, because then you might need to let your body move a little bit more, and the compression could just hurt things if you're experiencing gas pain. But when I wasn't experiencing gas pain, it was the best thing in the world. Just to be able to kind of press everything together, it doesn't feel like anything's gonna spill out. It just gives that nice little reassurance that everything's where it's supposed to be, because when you're recouping from that major abdominal surgery where they cut through a lot of things just don't feel like they're working the way that they're supposed to. But with that kind of compression garment, it helps a lot to get that feeling back. My next tip is to buy some plain gauze pads and have those on hand for when you get home. Now, when you're in the hospital, they will be checking your incision, making sure that it looks great, and they will have plenty of gauze there for you if you need it. But when you get home, after you shower, no matter if you're a plus size mom or not, I think it's worth it to have that gauze on hand to pat dry after the shower. You could pat it dry with your towel, but towels can hold bacteria. So each time I've just had the gauze in the bathroom with me. If you don't want to introduce bacteria to the incision site, if you don't have to, because obviously that increases your risk of infection, and gauze pad is pretty cheap. Honestly, it's not expensive at all. You can get just store generic brands too. It doesn't have to be anything fancy whatsoever. it just helps in the healing process, in my opinion. And something that I have lived by is making sure that I take care of my incision site well. And that has been a huge help in doing that. And then the fourth one is to ask about your hospital's protocols when it comes to C-sections. Now, I know a lot of people kind of debate on whether or not to research C-sections a lot, to watch videos on them, how are they done, ask those kind of questions, and you can totally decide for yourself if that's something you want to ask. But what was really important to me was knowing where baby would be after surgery. That, I think, is important to any mom going through a C-section. So asking them if you can do skin to skin, or if baby will be swaddled and will be held by somebody, where is baby going to be when I move from in the operating room to post-op? When are we able to get back into our room? Things like that, so you can know ahead of time what to expect and you're not wondering, where is baby? What's going on with baby? Things like that. It'll put your mind at ease. I didn't ask those questions the first time around, so when they took Sophie away and they were over at the table, I assumed something was wrong, because in the movies and the stories and the shows and everything, you see these women get to hold their babies right away. But that's not always the case with most C-sections. And it's just going to vary on their own protocols how quickly you're going to be able to see baby. So knowing ahead of time where they're going to be, for how long, when you'll be able to hold them, when your significant other will be able to hold them, things like that can really help ease your mind in the moment. I just felt like it helped ease my nerves a lot to ask those questions beforehand and not in the moment when so much is going on. And then the last tip that I have for you guys is that high rise is really crucial when it comes to anything you're wearing with a C-section. I did it both times around with our older girls, but I don't know, for whatever reason with Lexi, I didn't feel it was necessary. So I was wearing my regular sweatpants. I was wearing a lot of stuff that was just regular waist level. So it hit right at my incision site. And wouldn't you know, a couple days later, my incision site started to look red and irritated. It was uncomfortable. I felt like a little bit more pain than usual. And I quickly went back to wearing my maternity leggings, the big old granny panties that go well above my belly button, and just all of that stuff. And after I made that change, everything went back to normal. It was just putting way too much pressure, way too much friction and movement and everything right on my incision site. So when people recommend that, I would stand by that. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's going to be doctors and nurses taking care of you, taking care of baby, looking at incisions, checking vitals. Like, there's so much going on because it is a major abdominal surgery, but it's also you having your baby. Just try to enjoy and soak in that moment, because as soon as they come out, they start growing like a weed, and before you know it, they are turning 5 and you have to register them for kindergarten. Time is just something nobody can get a handle on. I want you guys to tell me down in the comments below what your number one tip for C-section moms is, so they can scroll through the comments and get some even more ideas as to what to expect. And like I said, don't forget about Brady's video. I will have links to that as well. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching.